Hello everyone, welcome to Drive-By Conversations, the best place for new and emerging leaders who want help navigating challenging conversations in the workplace. I'm Jaboria Scott, an online leadership coach and consultant. If you want to learn more about me, you can visit my website, www.drivebyconvos.com, or you can come say hi on Facebook or Instagram, where I share more of my personal life. Now, when it comes to the topic of how to manage remote teams, employers and employees alike were kind of turned upside down when the pandemic started. There was this mad dash to get everyone set up to work from home while trying to cope with a worldwide crisis. And this left many employers unprepared to lead employees who had never worked from home before. Well, about a year later, it seems like the world has caught up and many companies now have a handle on how to successfully manage remote teams. On the flip side, it seems like employees have become uber relaxed. Many remote workers have forgotten a few basic workplace etiquette tips and have allowed professionalism to kind of fall by the wayside. If you're a manager who doesn't know how to address this, I can help. In today's video, I'll give you 6 housekeeping tips on how to manage remote teams virtually and keep things professional. So keep watching. The longer teams work from home, and as the weather improves and people will become more relaxed and start to blur the lines between proper behavior during work hours versus what they would normally do from home after hours. And although people have their home office set up, there still needs to be some professionalism. That's why I made this video about workplace etiquette for employees to be aware of, even though they're working remotely. So tip number 1 for how to manage remote teams is to remind staff to keep it cute and keep it corporate. This means that team members should care about how they look on camera and how they appear at the beginning of the workday. It's important to remind staff that wearing appropriate and professional clothing, due to the fact that they still operate as company employees during the workday, is important. This means that when they show up on camera for meetings, there should be no pajamas, no gym clothes, no sports bras, no shirts with ripped collars or holes, and no baseball caps. Now, I'm not asking people to wear a three-piece suit, but employees should not wear something that they would not normally wear if they need to appear to work in person. Now, I know these conversations can be awkward, so here's what you can do if you notice that your team member is dressed inappropriately. First, do not embarrass them by calling their attention to it while in a group meeting or on a video conferencing call. You always want to keep your interactions professional with your team members. If you see that someone is dressed inappropriately, you can send them a private message using a text, a separate email, or a short message using your company's messaging system. You can let the person know that they may want to take some time to step away and clear up whatever the wardrobe malfunction is. I'm sure that we all remember this viral video, and I'll leave it up here, of the reporter who was broadcasting from his home in shorts and everyone could see it. The very last thing that you want to do is embarrass someone in front of their peers if you can help it. However, if there's a consistent pattern of inappropriate clothing, you can schedule to meet with the person separately. In these circumstances, you want to reference the company's dress code policy and remind them of the importance of dressing as it's outlined by the company's policy. When you use company policy to back you up, it cannot be misconstrued as a personal attack. Now, as a disclaimer, always touch base with your HR department for guidance on delicate conversations such as this one. Also, if you need some help on how to talk like a boss in those kinds of conversations, check out my free Respond Like a Boss resource in the description box below. Tip number 2 for how to manage remote teams is location, location, location. Remind team members to create a designated work area for themselves. I talk more about this in my video called 5 Secrets to Help Staff Deal with Quarantine, and I'll leave the link in the description box for you. Choosing a location with a neutral background when working from home is key. This will minimize distraction during video calls. Employees should also be discouraged from taking computers or mobile devices into private areas such as bathrooms because it doesn't look professional. Everyone can also hear the echo, among other things, which may interfere with audio on conference calls. I'm sure that we've all seen the viral video of a female staff member using the toilet while on a video conference call with her team members. It was definitely cringe-worthy, to say the least, and no one wants to be that person. I know that if you're sharing your home and workspace, it may be limited for you to be able to find a designated area, but there are little tricks that you can do to make up for it. Check out my video on how to interview during a pandemic. I go into more detail of what you can do if your space is limited when you interview or when you work from home. Tip number 3 for how to manage remote teams is remind staff that work security and safety matters. Just as you want to encourage employees to continue to keep themselves safe, it is also important to remind staff to follow your company's established cybersecurity guidelines to keep the work safe. Here's a small disclaimer. I am by no means a cybersecurity expert, and you should follow the guidance set forth by your company's IT department. However, it is important for you as the manager to reinforce the importance of ensuring that team members are aware of the safety measures necessary for protecting your company's confidential information from prying eyes. Staff who work remotely can do simple things like continue to work in a secure area of their homes. All confidential and sensitive information should be secure with password protection when they leave the workspace temporarily and when they log off for the day. When employees work from home, it's important for them to create a secure, designated workspace for their private work matters. In an article called Working from Home is Breaking Our Bodies, Physical Therapists Say, written by Megan Cerullo, she states that physical therapists outline some of the most common pandemic-related habits and their physical ramifications. They also offer tips to ease symptoms. Bad habit. You're not pretending you're at the office. Physical therapists advise to homebound employees to start with acting like you're at the office. Create a workstation that is dedicated exclusively to work. Find a private, quiet, and secure place away from the flow of activity at home to decrease distractions and increase one's ability to focus, end quote. The article has good info, and so it may be worth taking a look at. This information has 2 benefits. A designated workspace provides structure for the workday, and it also ensures that potentially confidential work-related info is safe and secure, as I mentioned previously. Many companies also offer cybersecurity training, and you may want to ask for a refresher training for your team so that they know the hazards and how to protect information as they continue to work remotely. You definitely don't want people to have unauthorized access to company data. Click the like button if you agree. Tip number 4 for how to manage remote teams is personal accountability is key. As we settle into the normalcy of remote work life, it will be important for team members to continue to perform their work duties with a high level of professional accountability that they demonstrated before transitioning to working from home at their home office. It's also for you and your management team to continue to monitor individual performance metrics with increased attention to individual staff performance. Be sure to relate poor performance back to what's outlined in the staff members' goals as established by your company's performance standards. This will keep your performance management consistent and above board. Tip number 5 for how to manage remote teams is remind staff that engagement is important. Staying connected with your employees is key when you work in different locations if you want them to continue to feel a part of a team. Things like video conferencing and individual check-ins will go a long way to demonstrate that you're focused on overall team success. It's also very important to describe the communication methods that you plan to use to stay in touch with your team so they don't mistake it for micromanagement. Let them know that now that you're working from home, they will notice an increased engagement from you and your management team. Remind them that they shouldn't view this as an intrusion upon their workday. This is simply your attempt to stay connected with everyone, to assess their performance, to ensure that their needs are being met, and to ensure involvement in the work. Let employees know that while they would not be inundated with unnecessary meeting requests, you will continue to use video technology to check in regularly, so they should be camera ready. Tip number 6 for how to manage remote teams is encourage employees to engage in healthy practices such as taking regular breaks. It can be easy to get caught up in the month end, day end of just finishing one task before taking a break when you work from home. In an article called 4 Work from Home Hacks That Are Still Vital a Year After Lockdown Began, written by CNBC contributor Vicky McKeever, she mentioned the importance of getting outside for exercise when people work from home. An excerpt from the article says, "Spending all day in the comfort of your home while working can make it harder to find the motivation to get outside, particularly in the winter months. Research has shown how exercising outdoors compared to inside can make people feel more energized." Remind staff to step away from the work for a small break and not to skip their lunchtime. This will allow them to come back to the work after their break refocused. Remember to always find the balance between compassion and accountability when managing teams remotely. Celebrate the small wins by reminding them of what they were able to accomplish in the work during these uncertain times. Remind them that their best is always good enough. With all of the challenges that we faced in 2020, it is important to be kind to yourself and to encourage team members to do the same. Now, if you're watching this video and you want to learn more about how to become a leader that people can trust, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell, because in my next video, I'm going to talk about how to lead with integrity. As always, have a great week, be kind to yourself, and thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.